Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Okay, today we're really getting into something complex, geopolitically speaking. We're looking at China's strategy. It's a sort of delicate dance. In post-Assad Syria, we've got official statements, expert analysis reports. Our job is to sift through all this, pull out the key stuff, find out what's really driving Beijing's decisions here. Maybe uncover some connections you didn't expect.
Absolutely. And right off the bat, there's this puzzle. It's been, 9 months since Assad fell? Ahmed al-Sharaa is in charge, but China, who is a pretty solid partner for Assad, well, they haven't formally recognized the new government. And the sources are clear. This isn't just bureaucratic slowness. It's about specific and, frankly, pretty urgent worries for Beijing. We're really going to dig into that tension, China's security fears versus al-Sharaa needing stability and, support. It's a tricky spot for everyone.
And what's really interesting, digging into these sources, is what's actually behind China's hesitation. You might think, okay, Belt and Road, commercial interest, right, that's usually a big factor for China. But no, the material shows it's not really about the money this time. It's security, national security. They seem genuinely alarmed about the role Uighur foreign fighters are playing now in Syria's security setup. That seems to be the core issue.
It really is, and the scale is significant. We're talking an estimated 3,500 foreign fighters. And reports say a big chunk of those are Uyghurs from the Turkestan Islamic Party, the TPP. Apparently, they've been folded into the Syrian army's new 84th Division. And it's not just rank and file. The TPP leader in Syria, a guy named Abdulaziz Dawood Kudaiberdi, they call him Zahid, he's reportedly been made a brigadier general.
Wow, a brigadier general. So this TPP group, they're mainly ethnic Uyghurs from Xinjiang.
That's right. It's a militant Islamist group, mostly Uyghurs from Xinjiang province in China. And they have history there. They fought alongside al-Sharaa's old group, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, against Assad. So, they're experienced fighters, and now they're embedded in the new structure. That's a huge red flag for Beijing.
Okay, I see. So that level of integration, even leadership roles, how does Beijing see that playing out? What's the actual threat they're worried about?
Well, it's layered. The immediate fear is that these fighters, battle-hardened and now in official roles, could eventually turn their attention towards China itself or Chinese interests abroad. And the TP hasn't been shy about this. There was a video they put out after Assad fell back in December 2024. They basically said their main goal is to, and I'm quoting here loosely, liberate the Muslims of East Turkestan from the Chinese occupation. That's Xinjiang, obviously.
Right. So a direct stated threat. And we should probably mention, just for context, that there have been those UN reports alleging serious human rights issues in Xinjiang. Beijing strongly denies them, of course. But what we're focusing on here is how Beijing perceives the TPP statements and presence in Syria.
Exactly. It's about their perception of the threat. And it's not just about attacks inside China. There's a big worry about Chinese commercial interests across the Middle East. Think Belt and Road projects, vital energy supplies. Look at Iraq, for example. China imports something like 35% of Iraq's oil. And Chinese energy companies have the biggest slice of foreign investment there.
Okay, so disruption in the region could hit them hard economically, like what happened in Pakistan with attacks on their citizens and companies.
Precisely that kind of scenario. It highlights a vulnerability. So China isn't keeping quiet about this. Their UN envoy, Fu Kong, he's brought it up at the Security Council multiple times this year, January, April, August. He specifically warned about foreign terrorist fighters in Syria, even named the TPP, linking them to violence in western Syria and Sweden. They're making their concerns very public.
So given these really deep security worries, how are they actually playing it diplomatically? What's the strategy on the ground?
It looks like a very deliberate, calculated strategy. The sources call it a dual-track approach. It seems designed to let them manage the risk, keep some influence, but without fully committing to al-Sharaa's government yet.
Okay, dual track. What does that look like in practice?
So track one is bilateral engagement, keeping the doors open. China's ambassador, Shi Hongwei, he's met with al-Sharaa, other officials. They talk about respecting Syrian sovereignty. It keeps them in the loop, gives them a direct line,
Yeah.
But stops short of full recognition, just keeping options open.
Right. And track two?
Track two is at the UN Security Council. They're being, lukewarm is a good word for it. It gives them leverage. They say they support a Syrian-led, Syrian-owned process, Resolution 2254, all that standard language, but they're clearly hesitant about fully backing the new leadership. And the big sticking point is sanctions.
The sanctions on al-Sharaa and others.
Exactly. The ones under the UN's 1267 list, that's the one for al-Qaeda, ISIS-type groups, asset freezes, travel bans. Beijing is showing zero enthusiasm for lifting those right now. Fukong, the envoy, explicitly told the UNSC back in June to keep those counterterrorism sanctions in place. And China has a veto, remember, so they hold a pretty strong card there.
That is the sophisticated game they're playing. It's interesting that dual track thing.
Yeah.
It almost sounds more like their recent approach to Israel, talking nicely bilaterally, but keeping up the pressure at the UN over Gaza. It's quite different from how they initially dealt with the Taliban, isn't it?
That's a really interesting parallel, actually, yeah. And the immediate fallout of this approach, well, it means China's keeping its wallet closed for Syria, for now at least. No big reconstruction money, no major BRI investments, no financing deals. Syria needs that stuff, but Beijing's holding back.
So they're using economic leverage too, essentially.
Pretty much. And they might also try leaning on Damascus through other channels. Think Turkey, the Gulf states. China has decent relationships there. They could try to apply pressure indirectly that way too.
Okay, but this brings up a key question. If China's support and investment could be so important for Syria's recovery, why doesn't al-Sharaa just give Beijing what it wants? Why not crack down on these Uighur fighters? What's his incentive to resist?
That's the crux of al-Sharaa's dilemma, isn't it? He's making his own calculations. From his point of view, these foreign fighters, the Uyghurs included, are actually a necessary part of his support base. These aren't just anybody, they're experienced fighters. He needs them, especially with ongoing instability. You've got conflict with other groups, like the Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces, who are pretty formidable and have U.S. backing, plus all the underlying sectarian tensions. So for al-Sharaa, these fighters mean internal stability, or at least they contribute to it.
And the U.S. factor. Does that play into it?
It seems like it might. Some reports suggest the U.S. might even be okay with integrating some foreign fighters, maybe as a way to counterbalance future Chinese influence in Syria. If that's true, it gives Damascus another reason to push back against China's demands, play one power off against the other. And Syria does have some other options for cash: the Gulf, Turkey, especially now the U.S. and EU have eased some economic sanctions.
Right. It's not that simple, is it?
Not at all. The country's still unstable. You've got opposition from Druze groups, Kurdish groups. Israel is still conducting military operations. All that makes potential investors, even from the Gulf or Turkey, pretty nervous. China's potential investment might have been seen as more stable, maybe with fewer strings attached, but it's off the table for now.
So putting it all together, what's the big picture here for China? It doesn't sound like some grand strategy for dominating Syria or competing head-to-head with the U.S. there.
No, I think that's exactly right. The sources really frame it as risk management rather than a comprehensive strategy. That sums it up well. Syria hasn't historically been some major BRI hub or a place where China felt it needed to directly challenge Washington. It's far away. The economic prospects are limited right now. The politics are incredibly messy.
So their goals are much more limited.
Very much so. Keep the lines of communication open. Avoid getting drawn into direct competition with the U.S. there. And crucially, number one priority: stop Syria from becoming a base or transit route for fighters who could threaten China or its interests. So the path ahead seems pretty narrow for Beijing's Syria policy. Keep talking politely, take a critical stance at the UN, but offer conditional support. And yeah, keep the checkbook closed. For now, anyway.
Right, and there you have it. This deep dive really shows how sometimes very specific, almost domestic security concerns like these Uighur fighters can totally shape a major power's foreign policy. It's not always about grand visions of global power. Sometimes it's about immediate perceived threats overriding everything else.
Absolutely, and it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? With Syria still so fragmented internally, facing all these outside pressures, and China laser-focused on just managing risk, can this kind of diplomatic standoff last? Or will something have to give? Maybe from al-Sharaa, maybe from Beijing. You've got Syrian elections supposedly coming up. Al-Sharaa might address the UN General Assembly.
Yeah.
How could those events shift this delicate balance? It really makes you think about how local fights ripple outwards and affect the big players.
Definitely food for thought. It shows how interconnected things are, even when they seem distant. A conflict in Syria shapes policy in Beijing. Fascinating stuff. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you a bit more insight into this really complex situation. Keep digging into these global issues, and we'll catch you next time.